بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. We greet you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh on this day, 21st day of the blessed month of Ramadan, and the Jews for today you'll find it in my book, The Quran and the Moon. The Jews for the 21st day, Surah Al-Fussilat, Surah Al-Shura, Surah Al-Zukhruf, Surah Al-Dukhan. These are the four surahs for the 21st day. When the 21st night of the month of Ramadan comes, we are now in the last 1/3 of the month, and you know that in this last 1/3 there is Laylatul Qadr, on which we have already spoken to you. So we will now continue in our effort to introduce the Antichrist, and our Christian viewers in particular will be very interested in what the Quran has to say on the subject of the Antichrist. We have found already in Surah Al-Sabah that Sulaiman alayhi salam, the Prophet Solomon, and his encounter with the Queen of Saba, or the Queen of Sheba, and the movement, he wanted her throne to be brought from Yemen to Jerusalem. And in that event we found that there were two different kinds of speed. One is that of the jinn, the ifrit of the jinn, who had the capacity to bring an object all the way from Yemen to Jerusalem at a speed that was astonishing. It's 2,000 kilometers or more, and I could do it it's so fast that I can finish doing it before you rise from your throne. And then the Quran offered a contrast to the jinn, and that contrast is very important for understanding the subject. That there was a kitab, a book. The Quran does not tell us the name of the book, but certainly it is a book pertaining to aerodynamics, because in that book there is knowledge. That if you have that knowledge, then someone in the court said, I can bring that throne for you in the twinkling of an eye. And those of you who know how to interpret the Quran and apply the Quran to the historical process, you know this is hypersonic speed. Then we left that contrast between the jinn and that book, and we went to Sulaiman alayhi salam, and this event in which he had this we consider to have been what is it called now, a ru'ya, a vision. And Allah showed him in this vision someone sitting on his throne. And the Quran describes that person as a jasad. Of course he has to be a person who is sitting on the throne. And Sulaiman, Allah's blessings be upon him, interpreted the vision. He wants to inherit my throne, so he couldn't be a horse, could he, and cattle? He had to be a human being. But when Musa alayhi salam, he was described as a jasad. Jasad. What is a jasad? When Musa alayhi salam, Moses went up to the mountain to the meeting with Allah, then someone told Banu Israel, the Israelites, give me your gold. And he had a PhD in chemistry and metallurgy, this fellow, the Samiri. And he said, give me your gold. And then he melted the gold, and he fashioned, or he smelted a golden calf. It was an amazing act of engineering, because it was done in such a way that when the wind blew at the calf would move. And that golden calf was described in the Quran as a jasad, meaning a body which is lifeless. But this one is a human being. and he wants to inherit the kingdom. How do we know that the Jasad who was shown on the throne wanted to inherit the kingdom? How do we know that? The answer, for those who still have the capacity to think, and not all people have that capacity anymore, the answer is to be found in the response of Solomon alayhi salam to the vision. He saw what he saw in that vision that Allah showed him, and he immediately understood the vision, and he responded with a prayer. This is the prayer, and it is in the prayer that we'll understand what he saw. قال رب اغفر لي بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قال رب اغفر لي. He said, oh Allah, kindly forgive me. Listen, you don't have to find out what he did that he wanted forgiveness. Please have some sense. This is his way. Anytime he wants to ask for something, he always asks for forgiveness. So now then, رب اغفر لي, oh Allah, kindly forgive me. وهب لي وهب لي ملكا لا ينبغي لأحد من بعدي. Grant me a kingdom which none can inherit after me, because I recognize he wants to inherit my kingdom. And also grant me a kingdom which none after me can compare with my kingdom. He wants to have a holy state in Jerusalem, and he wants his holy state to be comparable with mine. So he made this prayer that there can never be anyone to inherit the holy state of Israel. And when Allah answered his prayer, Allah caused the holy state of Israel to collapse shortly after he died. So none could inherit. Who it is who wants to inherit his kingdom? The answer, for those who still have the capacity to think, is he's Dajjal. But if you're not impressed, by all means, you can have your own opinion. Just keep it to yourself, please. Don't come and try to argue with me. I don't argue. I say, if you're not convinced that I'm correct, don't accept my view. What else can I do? So this is my view. But you have to think about the subject, and if you are convinced that it is Dajjal, then you accept it. When we accept that this was Dajjal sitting on the throne, that Dajjal is the Jasad, we now have to ask the implication, why does Allah describe Dajjal as a Jasad when he described the golden calf as a Jasad, a body without a soul? That golden calf would simply move when the wind blew. But this is a human being. He's appearing as a human being. And he has to be able to talk, he has to walk, he has to do anything. So what it means that he's a Jasad? The answer is, he is someone created by Allah who will appear as a human being but would not have the human ruh or soul or the nafs. So he does not have to answer on Judgment Day for his conduct. He will not be judged on Judgment Day and sent to heaven or hell like all the jinn and all the human beings. No. When Jesus comes back, alayhi salam, and kills him, he passes into non-existence. This is what it means to be a Jasad. To be a Jasad means you are externally programmed. He does not have an independent capacity to think. No. When he speaks as someone who is programmed. He does not have a free will, a self-directed will, a capacity to make a free choice. No. Everything in him is programmed. So yes, I agree. There is an amazing similarity between Dajjal, the Jasad, and the phenomenon of artificial intelligence, which is now raising its head all over the world. We proceed. The Quran went on. After Allah answered the dua, Allah then proceeded to say, in order that there will never be a state comparable to this state, Allah gave the jinn orders to work for Solomon. And these were shayateen, these were evil jinn, not the good one, the believers. Evil jinn are now placed at his disposal, and they have to work for him. Any order he gives, they have to obey. This is very important to understand the job. Amongst the evil jinn, there are those who are in chains. The evil jinn are involved in stupendous constructions up in the air, sky, and underneath below, in the sea and in the earth, going down deep. This is what the jinn are able to do. So if there's a diamond vein deep down in the earth, in southern Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, or in South Africa, in Zambia, these jinn are able to locate. They're able to transmit that knowledge to the scientific, the engineering departments and so on in what's the name of that city now? Birmingham. And the scientists are now able to locate diamond veins in Kimberley. And when the Zionists come to dig the biggest hole in the whole world, it's called Big Hole in Kimberley, and they have African labor, and they pay them peanuts, of course, because it's no longer gold and silver as money, now it's paper. And now they're able to take out from Kimberley, you have a wheelbarrow, 5 loaded wheelbarrows of diamonds. This is before the First World War. And when they had got enough, and they're now ready for the First World War, it's the summer of 1914, they then shut down Kimberley, because we already have the money that we want to finance the war. See? So this is Dajjal now. Solomon, he has the jinn working for him. And the jinn are ordered to do many things, to build and to construct and to manufacture things for the temple. And then Allah says, هَذَا أَتَاؤُنَا, this is our gift to you, فَمْنُن أَوْ أَمْسِكْ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. And this is beyond me. Yes, this is beyond me. Maybe one day I'll be able to penetrate this. Famnun or amsik, you can give or you can withdraw as you wish without any accounts. And we now turn, the Dajjal now is sitting on the throne in that vision. When Sulaiman alayhi salam died, the jinn never knew he was dead. Everybody else knew he was dead, and they buried him. But the jinn did not know he was dead. Why? Because the jinn was seeing someone sitting on his throne, holding on to his staff. And they thought it was Sulaiman alayhi salam. How could they do that? How could that fellow sitting on the throne deceive them into believing that he is Solomon? Because of something, a property of his staff. The minsa'a of his staff has within it the capacity to intervene in time and in forward and backward movement of time. That one was aerodynamics. Movement in time and movement in space at a speed like the twinkling of the eye. And this one is backward and movement, forward movement in time, like the young men in the cave. So the fellow sitting on the throne is able to show them Solomon standing and sitting and talking and moving and so on. And they believe he's alive, and that's how you can see that on television today anytime you want. And that's why they have continued working, because they believe he's Solomon. If they disobey him, Allah will punish them. And so up to this moment that I am speaking, Dajjal is still sitting on the throne as a vision, and he is deceiving the jinn. And the jinn are working for him. And hence you see modern Western civilization. Please go to my lecture on an Islamic eschatological explanation of modern Western civilization, because I don't have the time to do it now. Modern Western civilization did not achieve this momentous scientific and technological revolution with application to military science by itself alone. The jinn were there helping them, because this civilization was created by Dajjal. Just look at the link between Pax Britannica and Jerusalem, Pax Americana and Jerusalem, and Pax Judaica. Western civilization has a a very, very mysterious relationship with the Holy Land. This is, of course, for people to think, not for people who eat the biryani and go home and sleep. So now we have two things here. We have backward and forward movement in time, and we also have movement in space at a speed like the twinkling of an eye. We now come to that moment in history where Gog and Magog are going to be checkmated. And in the previous lecture I came to the conclusion that Zulkarnain represents two generations, two times in history. The first one, which commenced in the region of the Black Sea, was described in the Quran. And a second Qarn is to come, again which will commence in the region of the Black Sea, and which will witness once again Gog and Magog being contained. The first time they were contained behind an iron barrier. The second time we don't know what it is going to, but we are expecting that in the Great War which is coming, they're going to be contained for a second time by Russia, because Russia now controls not only Crimea, Russia controls the whole of that coastline of Ukraine, all the way to Mariupol, and now probably further on. So Russia commands the Black Sea. This is enough for now, so you can understand where did this hypersonic speed come from. If the jinn are helping them with the intercontinental ballistic missiles and so on, from where came this hypersonic speed, which makes those look so pedantic, so slow? Answer from the book. We think that's enough for you for today in this introduction to the Antichrist. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.